So South Korea is now tasked with navigating challenges regarding the alliance with the United States on issues such as tariffs and sharing the burden of costs needed for U.S. troops. For more on what lies ahead for relations between Seoul and Washington, we're joined by Dr. Bruce Bennett, Adjunct Defense Researcher at RAND Corporation.
Thank you. My pleasure.
Right, thanks for joining us. So as we just heard in our previous report, a White House official now warns Trump's tariff threat will be real on August 1st. How do you think the tariff negotiations between Seoul and Washington will unfold?
Well, I think you have to look at the fact that Trump has made some specific requests of South Korea. One of those specific requests was also made by his Secretary of Defense that South Korea raise its defense budget to 5%. I don't see South Korea taking any action on that, either committing to that or doing a supplemental budget increase on defense. This is really critical. Trump follows the American concept of actions speak louder than words. I think he's looking for action from South Korea rather than just negotiations to indicate that South Korea is getting what he's concerned about.
Right, and Seoul has been pushing for a summit between President Lee Jae-myung and Donald Trump. When can we expect this to take place?
I think you've got to show those actions first. I think President Trump is looking for clear indication that he's got a cooperative relationship going with President Lee, that they can work together and they can make some meaningful progress. But until it's clear that the South Korean government is, in particular, handling the defense issue, but also handling economic issues, reviewing in wide range many of the non-tariff benefits that Korea gets in relationship. Those are things which Trump feels very strongly about, which he's pursuing.
Right, and you just said Trump's looking for clear indications from South Korea, and Trump has been pushing for South Korea to pay more for the presence of American troops here in South Korea. How should the Korean government handle this issue?
Well, my recommendation is that South Korea goes back to the fact that maybe 10 years ago, it committed to raise its defense budget to 3% of GDP, and yet it's never gotten much above 2.5%. I think President Lee Jae-myung has been making supplemental budget increases in many of the domestic programs. A supplemental budget increase of 5 trillion won for defense would be a clear indication that he was understanding what President Trump was interested in. This is not for burden sharing. This would be to increase the capabilities, the weapon systems and capabilities of the South Korean military as the size of its forces are declining so substantially. And that would be a pretty clear indication that he's got the message and he's prepared to be responsive to President Trump.
Right, you just talked about the size of the troops, and what's also very concerning for Korea is that a U.S. think tank reportedly recommended a reduction of U.S. forces in Korea. How do you think South Korea should handle this issue?
Well, I think we have to remember that the think tank that made that recommendation is a very progressive think tank. The sense that President Trump will take their recommendations, probably not too high, unless he feels that he's not getting the reactions he's looking for from the South Korean government. His administration has said that they want to shift the attention of USFK a little bit more towards China, maybe a bit more than just a little bit. To do that, we need to have a South Korean increase in capability to meet the gaps that may have developed. That comes from an increased defense budget, so it all ties together.
I see. And as yet, neither South Korea or the U.S. have appointed ambassadors to each other's countries. What does this mean for bilateral relations, do you think?
It doesn't help bilateral relations. We both need to have it, but again, this is the actions kind of thing. If both countries are really paying attention to each other, are really concerned about their relationships, they'll both nominate ambassadors. President Trump has been very busy doing many other things, and President Lee has also been very busy focused on internal issues. But now it's really time for the two of them to get serious about the alliance relationship and enhancing that.
Right, Dr. Bennett, we'll have to see how that goes. Thank you so much for your time today. We appreciate it.
Oh, my privilege. Thank you.